Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to this next part of the Guitar Addiction Lesson Series. The last couple weeks we've been taking a look at kind of basic power chords and their inversions all across the fretboard. The past week we took a look at adding a third into our power chord to make it sound a little more defined. Basically we ended up with spread triads. Now this week we're going to take a look at some other notes that surround the notes from our basic power chord. So we're going to take a look like at the second, the fourth, the seventh and the sixth, and kind of where all those tones lie in relation to a basic power chord shape, so you can get a lot more color from your basic power chords and add a lot of really interesting notes into your power chord playing. So this is really going to expand on your guys' ideas of basic chord playing and really give you some fresh sounds. So let's get into the lesson. We'll take a look at where all these tones lie. Alright guys, so first of all, let's just take a look at a basic power chord. We'll kind of stay around the key of G again for today, since that's where we've been for most of these lessons. So, be right here. Okay, so a couple tones we're going to check out adding in today. We've already looked at adding the third and the minor third in. So we're going to take a look at adding the seventh, the sixth, then we're going to take a look at adding the fourth and the second in as well, and where those tones are. So first of all, here's our basic power chord on the low set of strings. Okay. Now the seventh, speaking like a major seventh, is going to be one fret beneath the note of our pinky. Okay, so on major chords like the 1 and the 4 from the key, we can't do this on a 5 chord, but we can do it on the 1 and the 4 chords. So in the key of G major, our 1 is G, and then our 4 is G, A, B, C. So our G and our C, we can do this cool little move on. So take our power chord. Now the seventh is one fret below our pinky. Okay, so it's going to be on the 4th fret of the D. Okay, so there's our seventh. So we get this kind of sound. Okay, so pretty cool. So that's just adding a basic seventh in. And a major seventh in this case, okay? So let's take it to the next set of strings. It's going to be the exact same shape. The seventh is going to be in the same spot. So you can just hear that it just adds a lot to the chord. It's just a nice, like, quick little move to add a little color into the power chord, instead of just hanging out on that for however long you might be playing that chord. It's just a nice way to add a cool little texture in. Okay, next chord. Let's go to our power chord on the D, G, and B, and this is the one where the pinky is up a fret as compared to our standard power chord. This we took a look at in week 1. Now the seventh, the major seventh, we just move our pinky down one fret. And when I say down, I should say towards the tuners, okay? Great sound. Okay, let's take a look at C major on the last set of strings. And we're just going to focus on our root position chords for the day. Okay, so here's this chord. This one, again, is from the first week. So we have pointer on 5 of the G, pinky doing a double bar on the B and high E at the 8th fret. Okay, now I'm going to lift my pinky up and just play the 8th fret of the B and put my ring finger on the 7th fret of the high E. there's adding the 7th into all our just basic root position power chords. Okay, so we get a really great sound. So that's adding the 7th in. Let's take a look at maybe, let's say this was a minor chord, at adding the minor 7th in, okay? So we're going to take a look at adding that in now. So let's just say that we're in the key of G minor now for a second. Okay, so the minor 7th, as you're probably guessing, is just going to be one more fret towards the tuners on the guitar from where our regular 7th was. Okay, so I'm going to reposition a little bit for this one. I'm going to replace my ring finger with my pinky finger, and then I'm going to put my middle finger for this first shape on the E, A, and D. I'm going to put my middle finger on the 3rd fret of the D. That's adding the minor 7th in. So that'd work on minor chords, and then also work on a 5 chord from whatever key you might be in. Okay, you can also play it like this, leaving your ring finger in place and putting your middle finger down on the 7th, but that's kind of a big stretch. Anyways, here's what our shape is. I have pointer on 3 of the low E, pinky on 5 of the A, middle on 3 of the D. And going back up to the original shape. The shape is going to be exactly the same on the A, D, and G strings. So that'd be like, you know, kind of a C minor type of sound. There's our regular spread triads from the other week, the past lesson. Okay, now I'm going to go to a regular power chord in the 7th. So you really start to get some cool colors. Okay, let's take a look at this now on the D, G, and B. So now my shape looks like this. Pointer 5 of the D, ring finger 7 of the G, and middle is at 6 of the B. And we can just go back up to our regular power chord. Great sound. Okay, let's take a look at our last chord. We're going to take a look at a C now. Now my shape is going to be this. Pointer 5 of the G, pinky is going to be at 8 of the B, and then middle is going to be at 6 of the high E. Let's move this all the way up to the 12th fret. Do the same little shape there. Okay, so that is adding the minor 7th in. So that's kind of how we do that with basic root position chords. Again, both those 7ths just sound great. The minor 7 is going to work for the 2, the 3, and then also the 6 of a major key. And then it's also going to work for the 5. Adding that major 7 in is going to work, you know, for your 1 and then your 4. If you're playing like a flat 7 and it's not supposed to be dominant 7. A lot of this stuff though you can just kind of start using and see where it sounds good. Okay, let's take a look at one last color tone for the day. The next week we'll take a look at adding the 4th and then the 2nd in. Because again, I don't want to give too much information for one day. I just want to kind of give you guys a couple of these ideas, because you really need to play these, you know, these kind of ideas a lot to really internalize them into your playing. Okay, let's take a look at adding the 6th in. We're going to take a look at major chords with this. So here's our G. We're going to have to reposition how we play this slightly. There's a couple different ways we can play this. Here's the first way. We're going to put our middle on 3 of the low E, pinky at 5 of the A, and then pointer at 2 of the D. There's adding the 6th in. So we have root, 5th, 6. Back up to a regular power chord. There's a 7th. So you can see there's our regular, like adding the 3rd into our power chord. So now we have those 3 tones that we can add to a basic power chord to give it some really cool, kind of new, fresh, unique sounds. And we can easily hammer that 6th onto the 7th. The major 7th, that is. The shape is going to be the exact same on the A, D, and G strings. Okay, so there's a 7th again, regular power chord. Adding the 3rd in. Just a lot of options. Okay, on the D, G, and B, we're going to do a bar with our pointer finger across the D, G, and B strings. That way we can just take our pinky finger off. This shape is the easiest to get the 6, the 7, and the root, because it's all just right there with a pointer finger bar. We don't really have to reposition our hand at all. Just go up to C. Very cool. Last shape, the C major. We're just going to do the same thing. We're going to bar with our pointer on the G, B, and high E, and then lift the pinky up so it's just playing the 8th fret of the B. Okay, so now with the C major, so we have that 6. Now we're just going to walk it up from 6, 7, you can hear we almost have like a lead going. It's not just a basic power chord anymore, especially on these high sets of strings. You know, we start getting more of a lead-based sound instead of just, you know, chunking away at a low rhythm down here. So that's adding the 6 and the 7 into basic power chord shapes. We'll save the 2 and the 4 until next week, just so, you know, there's not too much information for this week. But at any rate, the 7th and the 6th can really add some new sounds. Again, the major 7 is going to work for your 1 chord and your 4 chord. The dominant 7 is going to work for the 2, 3, 6, and 5 chords, okay? So adding that dominant 7 in. And the 6 is going to work for your 1 chord, your 2 chord, your 4 chord, and your 5 chord, okay? So adding that 6 in. And again, you know, you're going to have to figure out where it sounds best. It's not always going to work and sound really great. Just because it might theoretically work doesn't mean that it's going to sound great. So you just have to use your ear and get used to using this stuff. Let's take a look at a couple really quick examples. Let's just take a look at a G, adding that 3rd in. Okay, this was from the past week's lesson, the number 2 lesson. So there's adding that 3rd in. Now let's go to C, just a regular C power chord, but we'll add the 7th in. Okay, now let's say we're going to an E on the A, D, and G strings, but let's add the dominant 7th in. Or the minor 7th. Okay, so now we get this kind of sound. You might have noticed right there I added the 6th into the C major and was hammering on to the 7th. There's a ton of options here, guys. I mean, seriously, you could explore this stuff for a long time, and you could hear right there. I was hybrid picking that all, and it still sounded. Hopefully, it still sounded good. And so, like, you know, just maybe hybrid picking like power chords. Doesn't necessarily sound the best, but when you start adding some of these alternate tones in, you know, the 7th, the 6th, the 3rd, it really starts sounding, you know, just, I guess better is just the word, you know, it really starts sounding more interesting. It just doesn't sound like a basic root and fifth anymore because we're adding, you know, basically because it's not, we're adding some more interesting tones in. And again, sometimes a power chord is all you need. It sounds perfect for the situation, but sometimes, you know, just adding the seventh, the sixth, the third in just really adds something special to the progressions. So I just recommend that you guys go through, test a lot of these out. You know, see what kind of different sounds you can get out of this stuff, because again, there's a lot to explore. So just one more time to recap, we've explored adding the third in, the minor third, the major seventh, the minor seventh, and then the sixth. So take a look at those across every set of strings. Again, I don't want to give you guys a ton of examples for today, because I kind of want you guys to find your own examples, you know, and be exploring with this enough that you find little moves that you're really into and you think fit your playing really well. So that's the lesson for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it and got something useful out of this. I know that this kind of, you know, adding these tones in is really giving me some fresh new ideas, so hopefully they'll do the same for you guys, and I will see you back here next week and we'll take a look at adding some more of these tones into the chords to give them a little better sound. Alright guys, have a good week. See you later.